Chapter 1: The Third Ring. The third ring was different. I could feel it the moment Marcus slid it onto my finger. Sitting on the edge of our overwater bungalow in the Maldives, the Indian Ocean stretching endlessly beneath us. 3 proposals in 5 days. 3 different rings, 3 different speeches about forever. "Sarah, this is it," he whispered, his voice catching as the sunset painted the sky in shades of coral and gold. "This is the one that matters." But my heart wasn't racing with joy anymore. It was pounding with something else entirely. A cold, creeping dread that had been building since the second proposal on the beach yesterday. The first one at dinner seemed romantic, if sudden. The second felt rehearsed. And now this third attempt felt desperate. I stared at the ring, a stunning emerald-cut diamond, completely different from the princess cut from yesterday and the round solitaire from 3 days ago. Each one more expensive than the last, each one more elaborate. My hands were trembling as I touched the cold metal. "Marcus," I said slowly, "why do you keep changing your mind about the ring?" He laughed, but it sounded hollow against the gentle lapping of waves beneath our villa. "I just want it to be perfect for you, babe. You deserve perfect." Perfect. The word hung in the air between us like a lie. Nothing about this felt perfect. Nothing about this felt right. We'd been together for 2 years, and I thought I knew him. But this version of Marcus, frantic, switching between rings like he was trying on different personalities, was a stranger. That night, as he slept beside me, I listened to the ocean and felt more alone than I ever had in my life. The ring sat on the nightstand, catching moonlight through the glass floor of our bungalow. Beautiful. Expensive. Wrong. I needed answers, and I was going to find them.
Chapter 2: Digital Secrets. The next morning, Marcus left early for a diving excursion he'd booked months ago. "Just the guys," he'd said, kissing my forehead. "You relax, enjoy the spa. When I get back, we'll celebrate properly." But I wasn't planning to relax. The moment his boat disappeared into the turquoise horizon, I grabbed his laptop from the dresser. His password was still my birthday. At least, that hadn't changed. The search history loaded slowly on the resort's Wi-Fi, but when it did, my blood ran cold. The searches weren't what I expected. They weren't about ring sizes, or romantic proposals, or even wedding planning. They were about me. Sarah Mitchell, personal information. Sarah Mitchell, family background. Sarah Mitchell, college records. Sarah Mitchell, employment history. My hands shook as I scrolled further. The searches went back months, long before this trip, but they got more specific, more invasive. Financial records, medical history, even searches about my father's death when I was 16. But the worst part wasn't the invasion of privacy. It was the pattern. Every few weeks, the same searches would appear, like he was checking for updates, like he was monitoring me. I clicked on his email, my heart hammering. Buried in a folder labeled Work Projects were emails from a private investigator, recent ones. The subject lines made my vision blur. Sarah Mitchell, updated financial report. Background check complete. Attached files. I opened the most recent email, dated just 2 days ago. The investigator's report was attached, a detailed breakdown of my entire life. My inheritance from my father, my savings account, my stock portfolio that I'd barely touched since college, numbers I'd never told Marcus about. The final line of the email hit me like a physical blow. Subject's net worth confirmed at $2.3 million. Inheritance accessible upon marriage. Recommend proceeding with plan as discussed. I slammed the laptop shut, my whole body shaking. The paradise around me, the crystal clear water, the white sand, the perfect blue sky, suddenly felt like a cage.
Chapter 3. The Performance. I spent the day in a daze, walking the resort's pristine beaches like a ghost. Every tourist couple I passed looked happy, genuine, in love. Had Marcus and I ever looked like that? Or had I been performing in a play I didn't know I was in? When he returned from diving, sun-kissed and grinning, I watched him like I was seeing him for the first time. The way he immediately checked his phone, the way his eyes scanned the room before settling on me, the way he seemed to be calculating something behind his smile. "How was your day, beautiful?" he asked, pulling me into his arms. His embrace felt like a trap. "Fine," I managed. "Just thinking about us?" He pulled back to look at me, and I saw something flicker across his face. Fear? Anticipation? About the future? I forced a smile. "About how surreal this all feels." "I know, right?" He laughed, but it sounded wrong. 3 proposals. I guess I'm just nervous about getting it right. Right for who? The question slipped out before I could stop it. Marcus's expression froze for just a moment, a split second where his mask slipped, and I saw something cold underneath. "For you, of course," he said, but his voice was too careful now. "For us." That evening at dinner, I watched him perform, because that's what it was, I realized. A performance. The way he touched my hand at exactly the right moments. The way he laughed a little too loud at my jokes. The way he kept steering the conversation toward our future, our plans, our life together. "I've been thinking about the wedding," he said, cutting into his lobster. "Maybe something small, intimate. We could do it quickly, you know? Why wait when we're so sure?" "Why the rush?" I asked quietly. "No rush," he said, but his knife slipped slightly. I love you, Sarah. I want to start our life together." Our life. Or my money. The thought sat heavy in my stomach as I pushed my food around my plate. The other diners around us were laughing, clinking glasses, celebrating. But I felt like I was drowning in plain sight. Chapter 4. The Investigator. I couldn't sleep. While Marcus snored softly beside me, I stared at the ceiling of our overwater bungalow, listening to the ocean beneath us. The sound that had seemed so romantic 5 days ago now felt ominous, like it was whispering warnings I should have heard sooner. At 3 a.m., I gave up on sleep and grabbed my phone. The investigator's email address was burned into my memory. David Chen, Private Investigations. His website looked professional, legitimate. The kind of person wealthy clients hired for discreet inquiries. I typed and deleted a dozen messages before finally sending one. "I need to speak with you about Sarah Mitchell. This is urgent." The response came faster than I expected. "Who is this?" "This is Sarah Mitchell." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then, "We need to talk, but not over email. Are you safe?" The question sent ice through my veins. Safe? I looked at Marcus sleeping peacefully beside me, and suddenly our isolated overwater bungalow felt like a trap. We were surrounded by ocean, miles from the main resort, with no way to leave except by boat. "I'm in the Maldives, at Sunset Island Resort." "I know," he told me. "Listen carefully. Do not let on that you know anything. Can you get to the main resort alone tomorrow?" "I think so." "There's a cafe in the marina. 2 p.m. Come alone. We'll talk." I stared at the screen, my heart hammering. The investigator knew where I was. Marcus had told him. This wasn't just about money. This was planned, orchestrated, with me as the unknowing star. I looked at the man sleeping beside me, the man I'd thought I loved, The man who'd proposed to me 3 times in 5 days. The moonlight streaming through the glass floor of our bungalow cast strange shadows across his face, and for a moment, he looked like a stranger. Maybe he always had been. Chapter 5. The plan unravels. The next morning, Marcus announced he had meetings to attend. "Resort business stuff," he said, not meeting my eyes. "You know how it is." I didn't know how it was. Marcus worked in marketing for a tech company? What business would he have at a luxury resort in the Maldives? But I nodded and smiled, playing my part in whatever elaborate show we were both pretending to enjoy. "I might explore the main resort," I said casually. "Maybe do some shopping." "Great idea," he said, but I caught the way his jaw tightened. "Just stick to the resort areas, okay? The local islands can be complicated. Complicated, like everything else about this trip." I took the resort speedboat to the main island, my stomach churning with each wave. The other passengers, honeymooners and anniversary couples, chattered excitedly about their plans. I wanted to warn them all. Check your partner's search history. Make sure they love you, not your bank account. The Marina Cafe was exactly what I expected. Touristy, overpriced, with a view of million-dollar yachts. David Chen was already there, a middle-aged man in a linen shirt who looked like any other resort guest. He stood when he saw me, and I knew immediately it was him. "Sarah, I'm David." We sat at a corner table, and he ordered coffee while I tried to process this surreal situation. Here I was, in paradise, having a clandestine meeting with a private investigator about my boyfriend's secret investigation into my finances. "How long have you known?" David asked without preamble. "About the investigation? Yesterday. About whatever this is, I'm still figuring it out." David pulled out a tablet, swiping to what looked like a detailed timeline. "Your boyfriend contacted me 4 months ago. Said he needed a comprehensive background check on his girlfriend, you, for security reasons. Said you were from a Ritchie family, and he needed to verify some information for protective purposes." Protective purposes? That's what he said. I specialize in financial investigations, usually for prenups or inheritance disputes. This seemed routine at first. At first? David's expression darkened. Then he started asking for more specific information. Account numbers, investment details. He wanted to know about your inheritance structure, when you'd have full access to your father's estate. The coffee arrived, but I couldn't touch it. "And you gave him this information?" "I gave him what was public record, but Sarah," David leaned forward, "there's something else, something that made me start questioning his motives." Chapter 6. The truth about Marcus. 3 weeks ago, Marcus asked me to investigate someone else, David continued, his voice low. Emma Rodriguez, 28, from California. Her father died in a construction accident when she was 19, left her a substantial settlement. My blood turned to ice. What happened to Emma? She's married now, to a man named Marcus Wheeler. David showed me his tablet screen. A wedding photo. A beautiful young woman with dark hair, radiant smile, standing next to a man who looked exactly like my Marcus. "That's impossible," I whispered, but even as I said it, I knew it wasn't. "Sarah, your boyfriend's real name is Marcus Wheeler. He's been married to Emma for 8 months. She has no idea about you." The cafe around us seemed to spin. The happy couples, the romantic music, the paradise setting, it all felt like a cruel joke. "But we've been together for 2 years. "I know. I started digging deeper after the Emma situation raised red flags. There's a third woman, Sarah. Jennifer Kim, 26, from Seattle. Her mother left her a tech company worth $3 million. She's been dating a Marcus Williams for 6 months. 3 women, 3 different versions of Marcus, 3 different last names. I was just one part of an elaborate con, a carefully orchestrated performance designed to separate me from my inheritance. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "Because Emma Rodriguez contacted me yesterday. She's been getting suspicious about her husband's frequent business trips. She hired me to investigate him." His expression was grim. "She's here, Sarah, in the Maldives. She's looking for her husband." The world tilted. "She's here?" "She tracked his credit cards. She knows he's at Sunset Island Resort. She's staying at the main resort, trying to figure out how to confront him." I stared at the tablet screen, at Emma's wedding photo, at a genuine smile next to the man who'd proposed to me 3 times in 5 days, the man who'd made me feel special, chosen, loved. "What do I do?" I whispered. David checked his watch. "Emma's planning to go to Sunset Island tomorrow morning. She's going to confront him. You need to decide. Do you want to be there when she does?"
Chapter 7. The Other Wife. I couldn't go back to the overwater bungalow. Not yet. Not while my entire world was crumbling around me. Instead, I wandered the main resort like a ghost, past happy couples and families, past the life I thought I was building. My phone buzzed with texts from Marcus. "Where are you? Getting worried. Call me." I turned it off. At sunset, I found myself at the resort's highest point, a cliff-top bar overlooking the lagoon. The view was spectacular, the kind that belonged on postcards and Instagram feeds, but all I could see was the lie I'd been living. "Excuse me, are you Sarah?" I turned to find a woman with dark hair and kind eyes. She was beautiful in a natural way, wearing a simple sundress that somehow looked more elegant than anything I'd packed for this trip. "I'm Emma," she said quietly. "Emma Rodriguez. I think we need to talk." My heart stopped. "How did you—" "David Chen. He thought we should meet before tomorrow." We sat in silence for a moment, 2 women who'd been betrayed by the same man, watching the sun set over the Indian Ocean. "How long?" I asked finally. 8 months, married. 2 years together before that. Emma's voice was steady, but I could hear the pain underneath. "You?" 2 years. He told me he loved me. He proposed 3 times this week. Emma's laugh was bitter. He proposed to me on Sunset on a beach in Hawaii, said he'd been carrying the ring for months, waiting for the perfect moment. "The perfect moment," I repeated. He used those exact words with me. He's good at making moments feel perfect. Emma sipped her drink. "I should hate you, the other woman. But David showed me the timeline. You didn't know about me any more than I knew about you." "There's a 3rd woman," I said quietly. "Jennifer, in Seattle." Emma closed her eyes. "Of course there is." We sat in silence again, watching couples at other tables, holding hands, sharing desserts, planning their futures. Everything I thought I had. "What's your inheritance?" Emma asked suddenly. "My father's estate, about $2 million. I paused. "You?" "Construction accident, settlement, $3.5 million. Emma's voice was flat. "Jennifer?" "Tech company, $3 million, according to David." "So we're all worth millions and we're all orphans? That's not a coincidence, is it?" "No, it's not."
Chapter 8. The Confrontation. Emma and I stayed up most of the night, comparing stories, finding the patterns. Marcus had a type. Wealthy young women who'd lost parents, who were lonely, who were looking for family. He was methodical, patient, charming. He researches us, Emma said as we walked the beach at dawn. Our vulnerabilities, our dreams, our fears. Then he becomes exactly what we need. The perfect boyfriend, I said bitterly. The perfect husband, the perfect partner, until he gets access to the money. At 10 a.m., we took the speedboat to Sunset Island together. I'd texted Marcus that I was coming back, that I had a surprise for him. It wasn't a lie. Emma was definitely going to be a surprise. The resort looked different through my new eyes. The luxury felt oppressive, the isolation threatening. Marcus was waiting on the dock, wearing the smile I'd fallen in love with, the smile that had been carefully crafted to make me feel special. "Sarah," he opened his arms as I approached. "I was worried sick. You disappeared yesterday, and—" He stopped, mid-sentence, when he saw Emma step out from behind me. The color drained from his face. For a moment, nobody spoke. The only sounds were the waves lapping against the dock and the distant laughter of other resort guests. "Hello, Marcus," Emma said, quietly. Or, should I say, Marcus Williams? Or Marcus Wheeler? "Emma." His voice was barely a whisper. "What are you doing here?" "Looking for my husband. You remember? The man who promised to love and honor me? The man who said he'd never lie to me?" Marcus's eyes darted between us, and I could see him calculating, trying to figure out how to spin this, how to make it work in his favor. "I can explain," he said finally. "Oh, I hope so, because I'd love to hear how you explain proposing to your girlfriend 3 times while you're married to me." "Girlfriend?" Marcus looked at me, his mask slipping completely. "Sarah, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly." My voice was steadier than I felt. "You've been scamming us, both of us, all of us." "Scamming?" Marcus tried to laugh, but it came out wrong. "Sarah, Emma, this is all a misunderstanding. I never meant for—" "For what?" Emma's voice was rising. "For us to find out? For your elaborate con to fall apart?" Other guests were starting to stare. The fairy tale setting was becoming the backdrop for a very public confrontation. Chapter 9. The Mask Falls. "You want to do this here?" Marcus asked, his voice hardening, "in front of everyone?" "Why not?" Emma stepped closer to him. "You've been performing for months. Let's see how good you really are." Marcus looked around at the growing crowd of resort guests, then back at us. Something shifted in his expression, the charm disappearing, replaced by something colder. "Fine," he said. "You want the truth? Here's the truth. You're both pathetic." The words hit like a slap. Several guests gasped. "Sarah, you're so desperate for a family that you'd believe anything. Your father dies and suddenly you're this lost little girl throwing money at anyone who'll pretend to love you." "Marcus," I started, but he wasn't done. "And Emma? God, you're even worse. So grateful to have someone love you that you'd marry a man you barely know. So eager to play house that you never asked the right questions?" "Stop," Emma said, but her voice shook. "Why? This is what you wanted, right? The truth?" Marcus's smile was cruel now. "The truth is, you're both marks, easy targets, rich, lonely, desperate women who make this too easy." "How many of us are there?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "Does it matter?" Marcus shrugged. 3, 4, 5? You all blurred together after a while." A resort security guard was approaching, but Marcus kept talking, like he couldn't stop himself. "You think you're so smart, Sarah, with your little investigation, but you missed the best part. That inheritance you're so worried about? I already have access to it. Power of attorney forms you signed last month, remember? When you were planning for our future." My blood turned to ice. The forms. He'd said we were for emergency contacts, for medical situations. I'd signed them without reading them carefully. And Emma, sweet Emma, you made it even easier. Joint accounts, insurance policies,
everything in both our names. I don't even need to divorce you. I just need to wait." "Wait for what?" Emma whispered. Marcus's smile was terrifying. "Accidents happen, especially in places like this. Remote islands, dangerous waters, tragic diving incidents." The security guard was close now, but Marcus was backing toward the water, toward the speedboat he'd arrived in. "You're not going anywhere," I said, but my voice was shaking. "Actually, I am." He pulled out a boat key. "Thanks for the money, ladies, both of you. It's been fun."
Chapter 10. The Chase. Marcus ran for the boat, but Emma was faster. She tackled him on the dock, and they both went down hard. The boat keys skittered across the wooden planks. "You son of a bitch!" Emma screamed, fighting to hold him down. "You stole my life!" Resort security was running toward us, but Marcus was strong. He pushed Emma off and scrambled for the key. I didn't think. I just moved. I grabbed the key before he could reach it and threw it as hard as I could into the lagoon. Marcus turned on me, his face twisted with rage. "You stupid bitch! Do you have any idea what you've done?" "Yeah," I said, surprised by the strength in my own voice. "I stopped you." Security guards surrounded us, but Marcus was still talking, still trying to manipulate the situation. "Officers, thank God you're here. My wife and her friend, they're having some kind of breakdown. They attacked me." "Your wife?" One of the guards looked confused. "Which one?" Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it. For the first time since I'd known him, he had no answer. "Both of them," Emma said, standing up and brushing off her dress. "He's married to both of us, under different names." "That's impossible," the guard said. "No," I said, pulling out my phone. "It's just illegal." I called David Chen, who was still at the main resort. Within an hour, he was at Sunset Island with a folder full of evidence: marriage certificates, financial records, documentation of the elaborate con Marcus had been running. "The FBI's been tracking him," David explained as Marcus sat in Resort Security's office, finally silent. "He's wanted in 3 states for marriage fraud. You two aren't his only victims." "How many others?" Emma asked. "At least 6 that we know of. You're actually lucky. You caught him before he could complete his plan." "Lucky?" I looked at Emma, both of us sitting on a paradise island, both of us betrayed by the same man, both of us having to rebuild our lives from scratch. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now," David said, "he goes to prison, and you two get to decide what comes next." Chapter 11. The Reckoning. The next morning, Emma and I sat on the beach as the sun came up, watching the FBI agents escort Marcus to a seaplane. He was in handcuffs, wearing the same clothes he'd worn when he proposed to me for the 3rd time. "I keep thinking I should feel something," Emma said quietly. "Anger, sadness, relief, but I just feel empty." "Numb," I agreed. "Like the last 2 years of my life were just a movie I was watching. A really expensive movie." We sat in silence, watching the plane disappear into the morning sky. The man who'd promised to love us forever was gone, but the damage he'd done lingered. "I signed those power of attorney forms," I said finally. "I gave him access to everything. Joint accounts, insurance policies. I put his name on everything." "David says we can fix it, get the money back, void the contracts. But we can't fix this," Emma gestured between us. "The trust issues, the humiliation, the fact that we fell for it. The fact that we're both going to question every relationship for the rest of our lives." "Yeah, that." But as we sat there, something unexpected happened. I started laughing. Not hysterical laughter, but genuine amusement. "What?" Emma asked. "He proposed to me 3 times in 5 days. 3 different rings, 3 different speeches. I thought he was just nervous, trying to make it perfect." "He was nervous about getting caught, right? All that anxiety about the rings, about the timing, about making it romantic. And the whole time, he was just trying to figure out the best way to steal my inheritance. At least he proposed, Emma said dryly. He married me in Vegas after a 3-day weekend, said we didn't need a big wedding because our love was enough. Our love was enough. God, we were so stupid. We weren't stupid, Emma said firmly. We were lonely, and he was good at what he did. She was right. Marcus had been a professional, a skilled con artist who'd made a career out of finding women like us. He wasn't our first victims, and he wouldn't have been our last. So what now? I asked. Emma was quiet for a long moment. Now we figure out how to trust people again, how to date without running background checks, how to believe in love when we know how easy it is to fake. That sounds impossible. Yeah, it does.
Chapter 12. New Beginnings. 6 months later, I returned to the Maldives. Not to Sunset Island Resort. I never wanted to see that place again. But to a smaller, quieter island on the other side of the archipelago. I came alone, which felt significant. The water was just as blue, the sunsets just as spectacular, but everything felt different. I felt different. Stronger, maybe. More careful, definitely, but also more myself than I'd been in years. I'd spent the months since Marcus's arrest in therapy, working through the betrayal, the shame, the way he'd made me doubt my own judgment. Emma and I had stayed in touch, bonding over our shared experience in a way that felt healthy rather than toxic. Survivors Club, she'd texted me when Marcus was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. Population, too many. The other women had been found, all of them. Jennifer from Seattle, plus 3 others we hadn't known about. All of us young, all of us wealthy, all of us missing a parent. Marcus's type, his hunting ground. But we'd survived. We'd gotten our money back, our lives back, our futures back. Standing on the beach as the sun set over the Indian Ocean, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Peace. Not the false peace of thinking I had everything figured out, but the real peace of knowing I could handle whatever came next. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "How's paradise?" "Beautiful," I typed back. "And real this time." "Good. You deserve real." We all did. Real love, real trust, real partnership. It might take time to find it again, to believe in it again, but it was out there, and next time I'd be better at recognizing it. The water lapped at my feet, warm and genuine, and I smiled at the irony. I'd come to the Maldives to get engaged to a man who'd never really loved me. Now I was here to get engaged to myself, to the person I was becoming, to the life I was building. That felt like the most romantic proposal of all. If you've ever been deceived by someone you trusted, if you've ever had to rebuild after betrayal, or if you've ever found strength you didn't know you had, I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. Sometimes the most important journey is the one back to yourself. Like this video if it resonated with you, and subscribe for more stories about love, loss, and the courage to start over. Because everyone deserves a real love story, especially with themselves.